I have just spent the last month testing out two of the newest goal setting planners, the High Performance Planner from Brendon Burchard and the Start Today Journal from Rachel Hollis. And I'm going to walk through my experience with them, what I loved, what I think fell short, and hopefully help you decide which, if either, is a good fit for you. What's happening, boss lady? I'm Tara Wagner, your belief breakthrough coach, helping female entrepreneurs to crush their goals, not their soul. And I'm talking about two really popular, newer goal setting planners or goal setting journals. Actually, one's kind of a planner and one's more of a journal. If you're anything like me, you were seeing these nonstop all over Instagram, every single YouTube ad. God love Brendon Burchard. His ad spend for this thing must be insane. Either that or it's just me, but I don't know how to mark and let him know I've already bought one. I am seeing the ads everywhere. But I've actually been trying these out for a couple months or a couple weeks, almost a little over a month. Yeah, a little over a month. And I've got some thoughts on them. So I'm gonna actually start off talking about a little bit of the basics of each one to introduce you to them if you're kind of newer to them. And then I'm gonna talk to you about my experience with them, what I liked, what I didn't like, and try to help you figure out what you might like and what might serve you best where you are right now. Let's start with the Start Today journal because it is the simplest. In fact, it is probably the simplest journal you will ever spend almost $30 on. The designs I think are really cool because they change these up every quarter. So I think it's designed to last 3 months, and then you can go and order a different one, and you're gonna have a different collection of these different designs they're coming out with, which is cool, but I kind of feel like you're paying a little bit for the design, you're paying a little bit for the name behind the design. There's not a lot to this journal. It's really simple. It starts off with sort of an intro on how this journal came to be, how to use it, and then you're going through a daily practice with it. And it's the same daily practice, and it's very simple. It's based off of a 10-10-1. So she talks about 10 years, 10 dreams, 1 goal. And you do some exercises in the beginning to help you kind of outline where you want to be in 10 years. You do a little bit more exercises to figure out 10 goals within that big vision. And then each day you are doing some exercises around gratitude, around those 10 goals, and then a focus on just 1 goal at a time. So this is much more of a goal setting journal than it is a goal setting planner. There's not a lot of planning to do here. It's really more journal exercises, and I'll share some more thoughts on that and what I liked and what I didn't like in just a minute. But let's jump over to the High Performance Planner and I'll introduce you to that one. The High Performance Planner is almost half the cost of the Start Today journal, and it's way meaty. There's a lot going on here. Really high quality. I love this little, I don't know what this is called, like a strappy thingy. Somebody drop me a comment and tell me what this is actually called. And I love the little cloth bookmark. Little touches like that make a big difference. I don't know about you, at least it makes a big difference for me, and I really appreciated having those. So the whole journal consists of there's a whole life assessment in the beginning to kind of give you your baseline. Then it is weekly and monthly assessments to realign you or to track your progress, as well as morning and evening exercises to help you to stay aligned with your bigger vision, your bigger goals, who you want to be. Now, this whole thing was based around his book, High Performance Habits. And if you haven't read that, some of this is not going to make sense to you, or it's not going to click in quite the same way. So I loved the book. I highly recommend reading the book first if you're considering this planner. The planner is really geared to help you implement what's taught in the book in a consistent and a simplified way. So those are the basics on these two goal setting planners / journals. Now I'm gonna go through my experience of them, using them over the past month, what I liked and what I didn't like. So like I said, the beginning of the Start Today journal is some journaling prompts. And the first one is journaling on in 10 years, I will be. And you're kind of journaling on your vision 10 years from now. Now, I really loved this. I thought it was really cool to spend some time just kind of casting that vision. But to be honest, I would have struggled with this a few years ago, not really knowing what I wanted or what it could look like. And that can be really common. It can be really common to try to figure out, like, where do I want to be in 5 years? I don't even know where I want to be in 1 year. Like, what does this look like? A few years ago, I would have needed more prompts. And so if you feel like you struggle with that same thing, like figuring out what you really want, if you're doing this journal, I would Google some additional prompts on, you know, big vision, goal setting, where I want to be in 10 years, that sort of thing, to help you to figure that out a little bit easier, because it was one prompt. In 10 years, I will be, and that's it, and you fill out the page. The next journaling prompt on here is to narrow down the dreams that you made happen into 10 dreams, because then you're going to take that into the journal for the rest of the day, or for the rest of the journal, and you're going to be writing first, today I'm grateful for, and you write down 5 things you're grateful for, 10 dreams I made happen, and you're writing those 10 things down every single day. And then this is where the 10-10-1 comes into place. The goal I'm going to achieve first, that's the one. That's the one that you're focusing on first. So basically the whole thing is you're writing down 5 gratitudes and you're writing down 10 affirmations, essentially. I think for somebody who is very clear on what they need to do, but they're losing sight of why they're doing it, maybe you're getting discouraged, something like that, this can be really helpful, because it's going to help you to stay focused on your why, or that long-term goal, especially if what you're working on doesn't create immediate results and it is really a long-term goal. This could be really useful. But if you struggle with actually implementing, turning that vision into daily tasks, or staying on track on a daily basis with what you're supposed to do, I don't think this is going to be enough for you. For where I am in my life and my business, it didn't do a whole lot for me. It doesn't really motivate me to focus on my dream life, because that's not my motivator. My motivator is more my bigger why, my bigger purpose, the impact that I want to make. So focusing on things like I wrote down in my my dream life, I live in Rome with a rooftop patio. That's fun. It was fun to visualize that, but it doesn't keep me motivated every day when I might be feeling discouraged, or I might be frustrated, or I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really worth it? For me, I need to be focusing on that bigger vision. Like, this is worth it because of the lives that I'm impacting, or this is worth it because of the change that I'm making. So for me, focusing on my personal outcome, that's not going to do it for me. And I can see myself using this more if I switch it up and I'm focusing less on my personal goals and dreams that I made happen, and more on my why, my impact, my purpose, that sort of thing. Also, what didn't really click with me, and maybe I'm just missing the point, I don't completely disagree with the idea that we need to focus on one thing at a time, except for the fact that we need to focus on one thing at a time in different areas of our life. So one of my goals was I am strong, energetic, and healthy. Well, that's obviously the first thing that I need to focus on, but that doesn't mean I can't also focus on something in my business and something in my relationships or my family. So for me, I just kind of was like, it just didn't really click for me or motivate me to just be writing down that first focus, other than the fact that, like, you know, this is my first priority in the day. There's still kind of other things that I want to do. I think I would have gotten more benefit from this had I organized these in terms of priority. So like, number one, what's the first thing I'm focusing on? And then, you know, going down the list from there in terms of priority. I've talked about this before, and I'll probably talk about it again in some upcoming videos, but it's really about the difference between affirmations versus outcomes. The journal is really helping you to focus on outcomes, which is helpful if you struggle with goal setting and personal goals. Like, for instance, if you feel guilty setting personal goals, it can help you to kind of align and get your mind comfortable with the idea of having these goals, having these dreams in your life. But if that's not the challenge for you, I don't think that that's as effective as it is focusing on the things that are going to empower you and encourage and inspire you to do what's necessary every single day to reach those ultimate goals. I prefer to focus on and visualize how I want to feel right now, who I want to be right now, what I need to be doing right now, knowing that the details and the outcomes, they might change, and that's okay. Like, I'm not really tied to the idea of living in Rome with a rooftop patio. Like, it sounds really good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not tied to it, because I know that if I don't do that, it means I'm doing something else. I'm not as interested in the details and the outcomes as I am in the impact, and just trusting the process as I go along. So that is the Start Today journal. Now I'm going to go into the High Performance Planner. Like I said, this is a meaty little beast. I really loved having the whole life assessment and the high performance habits assessment in the beginning to kind of set my baseline and figure out where I am. And I think I filled this out on like an okay day, because I'm sort of all over the place. Like, some of them I'm like, I got like an 80% score. Some of them I got like a 52% score. So I loved being able to go in and do the weekly and the monthly assessments, and then also the daily habits scorecard, because I feel like this just gave me some really consistent touch points to keep me on track with my intentions, with my goals, how I wanted to show up, what I wanted to be doing on a day-to-day basis. His stuff is really about habit formation, habits being the things that lead us to goals. So it's less about that big vision and the inspiration as it is about the meaty day-to-day pieces of like, how do we get this done? How do we stay on track? Part of the reasons that I loved all the checkpoints in this planner is that it really helps you to see your patterns and commonalities, or where bottlenecks keep happening or which bottlenecks keep happening. So you can actually start to catch those things before they come up, because now you're just aware of the pattern. So I love the fact that it was a daily, a weekly, and a monthly assessment, giving you a chance to take that bird's eye view and figuring out like what's working, what's not working, what influenced me today, how did it influence me today. That helped me a lot to really stay on track with everything. So you start the day with your message to yourself, your morning mindset exercises, your top 3 goals and priorities, the tasks that absolutely must be done, and the people that you need to lead or connect well with today and how to do it. There is a task management in here, but I don't use a paper planner for task management because I have a team, we work in Asana. So this wasn't as useful for me, but I can see it being very useful for somebody who does like having that paper planner, only because you're keeping your tasks and your mindset work in the same place. So you're able to kind of take that into your day. And I did find one challenge that I had was remembering to take some of the things that I outlined in my morning mindset, like some of the activities that I wanted to do. I actually forgot to take them into the day and like actually schedule to have them done. So just a little tip, if you don't use this as a planner and you're using it more for the journaling aspects and the check-ins and the assessments, just make sure that you're taking in those actions that you outline in these into your actual task management or into your schedule so that they're getting done. Otherwise, it just ends up being a lot of nice words on the page and you get frustrated with yourself and feel like you're wasting your time doing these journals. I also found that it was really useful to use some of the margins to journal about what happened today, what might have influenced some of my daily habits scorecards, things like that. Without that, I found it a little bit like, oh, you know, I'm noticing these numbers are lower, but I had to kind of think back a little bit more to look for those habits. It was great to be able to go back a couple weeks and look at my scorecard and say, you know what, hey, I noticed when I was doing more self-care, these numbers were up. When I was doing less self-care, these numbers were down. So I just started kind of keeping notes that fit for me in terms of what I was doing that day, what was happening in my business, what was happening in life, that sort of thing, to kind of, you know, just view those patterns a little bit easier. So like I said, it is really meaty and it takes some time to fill out. And I think that's one of the drawbacks, is it is kind of time consuming. And if you are short on time, it can be one of the first things that you let go. I mean, there was a few weeks there where I was like just barely getting it in, or just flat out skipping it for a couple days because it wasn't realistic. So if you're struggling with time, I still think this is worth it, because it can help you to start really aligning your actions in a way that helps to save you time or create energy. But you got to give yourself some grace and know that you're probably not going to get it every single day. It's going to take some time to really get there. And one little tip that I have also is to consider doing it once a day instead of twice a day. So at night, fill out your nighttime mindset, your evening journal, and then fill out the morning mindset that night. You're kind of getting a jump on the day, but you're going to save a little bit more time because you're already in that mindset, in that flow. So you can fill this out the night before. Maybe that will help a little bit. Maybe you just do the best you can with it and let good enough be good enough, right? If you find that you are in a newer stage in your business, you may need more of the Start Today journal, especially if you're dealing with a lot of fear, if you're dealing with a lot of self-doubt, if you're dealing with a lot of other people's self-doubts and it's kind of, you know, steering you off course. That can be a great way to just consistently realign and refocus. But if you're in a stage in your business where you really need to up level, like you've been at this for a few years, This, I think, is gonna serve you much better. Speaking of goals, can I do a little plug for self-care goals this year and encourage you to download my free self-care in seconds training. It's a short video training. It's 1 part mindset and 1 part really practical strategy. And it's here specifically to show you that with a few perspective shifts and a few new habits, you actually do have time to take better care of yourself this year. It's free, it's super helpful. You can find it in the link in the description. If you have a favorite goal setting planner or any questions about these two, let us all know in the comments. Make sure you download Self-Care in Seconds, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're a female entrepreneur, subscribe for more videos to help you crush your goals, nut your soul, and share it with your boss lady friends. We'll help them do the same thing. And then check out these videos over here. You might really dig them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.